What's going on, y'all? Welcome to episode 45 of the Half Price Concessions podcast, the Racing Nickname Show. Thank you to everybody and anybody who has listened to our podcast, whether this is your first episode, you've been there for most of them, you've been there for all of them. We sincerely appreciate you listening to this podcast. And so do our friends, our partners at North Carolina 811 Dig that reminds you to call 811 before you do any kind of digging. And of course, our great friends at the Performance Center Racing Warehouse in Statesville, North Carolina. We thank you for listening to this podcast and supporting local grassroots racing. One thing you will notice, no matter whether you're at a dirt race, an asphalt race, a drag race, you could be at a boat race, there's going to be some participant somewhere that's got a nickname. Some nicknames are great, some nicknames are corny, some nicknames get turned into insults, some nicknames are just flat out dumb, and some nicknames are the kind of thing that sell t-shirts and endear fans to drivers for generations to come. On this episode, myself, Tyler Williams, and my co-host, Buddy Payne, we dive in to some of our favorite nicknames in all of racing. It's easily one of our longest episodes, so if you got to pause this thing and come back and finish it, so be it. But awesome stuff here. We had a ton of fun putting this episode together. We could not rank the nicknames by any stretch of the imagination, so this is purely just an appreciation for the great racing nicknames that we've known in our lifetime. Let's take care of some business. On the other side of this break, we get into the racing nickname debate here on the Half Price Concessions podcast.
When you're eating breakfast, you don't think twice about hitting an electric line in your cereal. If you're looking through your dresser, does damaging a fiber optic line cross your mind? Of course not, because those utilities are buried underground. So don't think twice about calling 811 before digging. 811 is a free service, takes as little as 5 minutes, protects you and your neighborhood, and it's the law. So call or click 811 today. This safety message brought to you by North Carolina 811.
This episode of the Half Price Concessions podcast is brought to you with support from Performance Center Racing Warehouse. In addition to being the home of the PRW chassis, Performance Center offers in-house setups and consulting, plus suspension and chassis pull-down analysis, along with their fabrication shop that can reclip your race car with the fastest turnaround in the industry. Give Roger Johnson and the Performance Center team the chance to earn your racing business by calling them today at 704-838-1400 or visit them online at performancecenter.com. That's PERFORMANCENTER.com. Hey guys, have you heard about Anchor? Well, you should. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. First and foremost, it's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your cell phone or your computer. Anchor will even distribute your podcast for you. It takes all the work out of it. Your podcast can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Just download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. On the Half Price Concessions podcast, and back with the busiest man this time of year, the HVAC man, Mr. Buddy Payne. Buddy, have you had time to get your head above water during these 95-degree days of working on air conditioners?
I'm either wet from rain or sweat. I can't tell these days, but no, man, it's been good. It's been a good year. It's been a good summer. The Lord's blessed us with a lot of work with all the craziness going on. I'm very fortunate, to still be working and plugging along and paying the bills and stuff. But yeah, it's we have a month straight of 90-degree days or something like that. It's like 30-some in a row. So definitely kept us busy, but doing good, man. Doing good.
Well, this episode, just to give some background, this episode has been probably years in the making, maybe decades in the making. And even when we tried to sit down and make this episode, we ran into trouble just because it is probably literally the hardest thing. I would rather rank drivers on talent than I would rank them on merit of nickname, just because it's impossible to be objective, because what I think is a cool nickname, what you think is a cool nickname is going to be completely different. and everybody else is in the same thing. So we are no longer ranking these things, but it's just probably, aside from paint schemes, it's probably the most unique aspect of our sport, because you only hear from the drivers that run on the podium or if you're watching a pay-per-view. So a lot of times if an announcer assigns a nickname or recites a nickname of a driver, that's a lot of what we have to go off of when we're making first impressions on drivers. So this nickname thing is just, and not every announcer shares it. So sometimes nicknames don't even get shared. You got to, figure it out. So it's just, it's so weird where to put this kind of in everything. And it's so kind of diehard only. But I mean, it's funny when you can recite names off and all you're saying is nicknames, and other diehards know who you're talking about.
I think nicknames, that's just something that's, for the hardcore of the sport there, because you can sit around and have the conversation, and you never use the driver's real name. You just throw out whatever his nickname is, and the other person knows exactly who you're talking about, because your random fan isn't going to know who the heck you're talking about when you throw out some given name or whatever. But I think it's something that's unique to the fandom and the fanhood, the brotherhood, if you will, of racing, and it's fun. And there's some cool ones out there, there's some crazy ones out there, and then there's some generic, boring ones out there too. So it's a very wide range.
And they can be used as endearing things, and sometimes they can be used as ammo for insults.
That's right.
Like just to name one off, slamming Sammy Swindell.
There you go. Yeah.
If you're a fan of Sammy Swindell, you probably say that with a smile on your face. If your driver was in Sammy's way, it turns into why you're booting. Hey, Sammy got me. So it's funny how this whole thing works.
Yes.
But because we've been racing fans as long as we have been, and as diehard as we have, and all the announcers we've heard, and even some of those nicknames that pop up that are just kind of silly and weird, there are so many. We have filled out pieces of paper or you filled up a computer screen, but it is just insane to list all them off. And I think no matter what, we're not going to be able to get to every single nickname. So if your favorite nickname doesn't get called or mentioned during this episode, don't take it personal. We literally would never be able to get to all of them. So we're just trying to name off some of the ones that we like and we find unique, because there are a lot of just bad ones out there.
There are, and this is by no means a ranking show of any sort. We're not saying this is the best ones or whatever. These are probably the more common ones, I'll say, at least for my
maybe
list.
well-known.
More well-known ones, and I mean, because my goodness, motorsports, spans the globe, so there's series that drivers I've never even heard of doing some of this research and stuff I don't watch, so I kind of stayed away from that. But yeah, so I just kind of stuck to the common ones and the fun ones, and tried to stay away from all the boring generic ones as possible.
And there's plenty of those out there. So what we've kind of done for you folks, we've broken these things down into 3 different categories. Location-based nicknames that kind of center around where people are from or involve hometowns. There's descriptive nicknames that kind of reflect a driver's style or an aspect of their personality. And then the last category is just flat out unique nicknames, just things that are just kind of just special, something different that maybe you don't hear these nicknames on basketball players or football players. They're usually just called by their first and last name. Racing seems to be the one that really gets them.
That's almost like a rite of passage, man. It's like you know that you're established when someone gives you a nickname or you earn a nickname or something like that.
Absolutely. So I do think it's fair, before we get into everybody and old Mother Hubbard's nicknames on our list, we need to go over our own nicknames, because we got nicknames, and we both got them from playing sports, or in your case, driving race cars. So it's kind of funny to flush those out. So before we get to everybody else's nicknames, we ought to just kind of establish where we are on ours. Now, your Buddy Payne, the government calls you something else. I'm not going to repeat that name, but you have several nicknames. I know 3-Step, and I know. Would Buddy be considered a nickname?
Yeah, Buddy is a nickname, yes.
I don't like that. You need to legally change that. You know what?
I don't think the wife would be too happy with that.
Tell us where Buddy came from.
Buddy came from my sister, Paula. When I was a baby, little kid, she was holding me. and the TV commercial would come on. There was a baby doll, I guess. It was called My Buddy and Me doll, and she would hold me and she'd sing that song. And so she'd just walk around singing that song, and it was like, my buddy, and me. And so I became her buddy, basically, through all of that. Now, of course, I prefer the term action figure, not baby doll, but either way. And it kind of stuck because my dad and I do have the same name, so I did need some sort of nickname. And thank God they didn't go with Junior, because that's overplayed. And
yeah, it doesn't help that you look like a very famous junior.
That's when I know. That's when I know it's time to shave. Is when I start getting those Dale Junior comments.
All right, so that's where Buddy comes from. The other one I know is 3-step, or was it 2-step?
It's 3-step, and
depending on how many Wheaties you ate.
And I guess we need to thank JB Blaylock for the idea behind this whole episode in general, because like early on, I think he was posting on Facebook about, we need to do something about our names. But playing softball with majority of my 6'3" length in my legs, whenever I run the bases, he swore up and down I could get between first and second base with 3 steps. It looks like I was only taking 3 steps. So he'd sing the old Leonard Skinner song and all that stuff. And also he just started calling me 3-step. And people say run like a gazelle. And so they just kind of tie that in, running like a gazelle and taking 3 steps between the bags. So Blaylock, that's for you, man. I'm 3-step thanks to you.
So we got one off of sister and then one off of athletic ability. Is there another nickname in the wheel?
The other one, when I was racing BMX bikes, a track I'd go to a lot was in Raleigh. It was Capital City BMX, and they had this old dude, older guy. He was the announcer. He was a cool dude, man. And he would come up and talk to everybody and stuff, before and after and whatnot. And the first time I went up there, just like some crazy stuff happened during the race, man. Like this dude comes over and crosses me up, and I'm like sideways in the air. I still land it, wind up winning and stuff. And after things like, man, I ain't never seen nobody ride a bike that extreme like you do. And every time I would see him after that, he said, "You gonna ride it extreme today? You gonna ride it extreme today?" So when he would announce, he would call me Buddy Extreme Pain. And so he just every time I'd see him, he'd say, something about riding the bike extreme. So Extreme Pain's kind of hung with me a little bit too.
There you go. So you got 3. You got a racing one. You got an athletic ability one, and then you got kind of the family.
A family time.
So that's a nice 3.
Yeah.
That covers your bases.
All right.
Pun intended.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so T-Bone, I feel like I had a little bit of a play in that, but you go ahead and describe, if you will.
Your family has a piece of it. It's funny because T-Bone is not universally accepted even among my kinfolk. So I'm not even 100% sure. I think T-Bone honestly got started just because there's a lot of guys named Tyler that their nickname is T-Bone. I think what helped it was my grandpa on my dad's side always called me T-Bone, and my grandma still does it to this day. I went to go see her earlier today. We're recording this, and she said, "Hey T-Bone, how you doing?" And it was a family nickname on my dad's side. Mom's side never called me that. That is just, it did not cross over. It might be the divorce thing, I don't know. But it just never did. And then it was funny. I was signing up to play high school football, and for some reason on the information sheet, there was a slot for nickname. And I was like, oh, this is the only nickname I've ever known. I put T-Bone in there. And I kid you not, my high school football coach, Sam Story, I don't think he actually knew my legal name. He sent a letter addressed to my house, T-Bone Williams, 1918 awesome. Hilldale. And I'm just like, that's kind of cool. But then I was like, wait, I don't think he actually knows my name.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I was third string left tackle. Okay. The only reason he knew me is because we were either winning by a bunch or losing by a bunch.
That's right.
Go get in there.
Tall guy, get in there and play.
And then it carried over to the private school I went to, but it kind of died out in college. In college, they tried calling me a couple of names that were kind of weird, but T-Bone has just been one that stuck. My dad's family still uses it. Pretty much everybody on my dad's side still uses it. My cousin uses a variant of it and just calls me Bones, which I don't find relevant because none of my bones are, I got a lot of fat around my bones.
Insulation.
Yeah, it's a little insulation.
Right.
And then the Payne clan has always called me T-Bone.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny how only certain groups kind of go with it. My wife does not. She does not think that nickname fits me at all. But that, and as a kid, I liked T-bone steaks. So that was the only real one I had. In college, one of the other broadcasters tried to call me the Big Goose. Tyler the Big Goose Williams, just because I was tall and goofy looking, and I would sometimes my voice would honk, but that one didn't stick. But
the very, very select few call you Chili Cheese.
Yep, that is basically you and Mikey G. That's about it. So now that we've established where we come from, now it's time to get into the fun part, and we'll start off with the location-based nickname ones. And Bud, this is one that it almost seems like a requirement for a lot of them to have whatever letter the town name starts with seems to be what the nickname after it has to be. Like, just going down my list, most of them, if the town name starts with an R, the nickname goes with an R, and it goes with that. There's not a whole lot of rhyming on the ones I could find. Most of them, there's some pretty unique ones I could find. I think the one I found the most unique on the location ones was Newport Nightmare Jimmy Owens.
Sure.
And it was just because it was not a nickname that was centered around something that goes fast, but it was, a nightmare, which I think the only thing that Jimmy Owens has ever been a nightmare to is good grammar.
Yeah.
Or
chewing gum.
And chewing gum and shoes. But it was just something unique, and I guarantee it probably helped him sell a lot of T-shirts.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then, he was running the Bloomquist car, had the black and green, it wasn't the skull and crossbones like Bloomquist had, but he had like the ghost face kind of skull deal.
Like the graveyard
kind of thing. So that, played off the nightmare thing. So yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty unique, kind of that, bad, intimidating kind of look.
Yeah, so that one kind of hit the top of my list on the location-based ones, but I mean, there's so many on here. Another one that I found just incredibly interesting was Awesome Bill from Dawsonville,
Yeah.
Bill Elliott, just because, and there's a lot of speed ones that are cool, but
yeah.
I just like that one because it rhymed. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville, and if you got enough of a Southern accent, you can make it rhyme along. So
that's right.
What are a couple of ones off of your list that you liked?
Well, I wasn't the best in English, but I'm pretty. When you have the first letter for like your descriptive, and then for where you're from, that's alliteration. Is that correct?
I don't know.
We're
getting above my pay grade.
We're gonna say it is because that makes me feel smart. Alliteration. Look it up, kids.
All
right. Yeah, I mean, you had like for guys we have right now, you got the Manitoba Missile, Ricky Weiss. He's from Manitoba, Canada. Rushville Rocket, Tony Stewart, before he became Smoke. Texas Terry, Terry Labonte. So I think the alliteration thing is. I
think they called him the Iron Man too, didn't they?
And then of course the Iron Man. No, or was it Ice? Well, he was Iceman.
No, he was the Iron. I think he was the Iron Man for consecutive starts. Jack Ingram's called the Iron Man too, though, I think.
And then Ricky Rudd was in there, and you're gonna find
Ricky Rudd is the Rooster.
He was the Rooster, but he's also because he said.
See, that's another thing.
Yeah. There's like one name, and there's like 15 guys that go to that name, which we'll get to later on.
Oh yeah,
we'll get to later on. Some of the location names I like are not necessarily the hometown, but like something descriptive of the state. So you have like the Buckeye Bullet, Dave Blaney's from Ohio, the Buckeye State.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. Bluegrass Bandit, Darrell Lanigan, Bluegrass State, Kentucky. Kentucky Colonel, of course. Let's see.
How about the Delaware Destroyer, Austin Hubbard?
Yes.
I was like, that one's a little intimidating to me because I was just like, all right. I was thinking like, all right, Delaware Dasher, but Delaware Destroyer, I was like.
Almost as good as the Empire State Executioner, Tim Fuller.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Or how about this one? This one I like just because the town name was unique. I think when the town name is something that's doesn't end in Ville or it's something unique. The Moweaqua Missile, Shannon Babb. Yes, missile, rocket, express, all those things. A bullet kind of gets repeated in a lot of these, but I like that one just because the town name was unique.
Yeah,
I would not know how to pronounce Moweaqua if not for
you wouldn't know where it was.
Yeah, I still don't know where it is.
I guess if you're going location, you don't get much cooler than the North Pole Nightmare.
Yeah, Bill Baylog.
I mean, dude running out of Alaska, that's pretty cool there.
Or here's one I like, just because it describes, like you said, describes an area but doesn't say the town. The Steel City Outlaw,
Oh, yeah.
Tim Schafer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, a lot of people from that Pittsburgh area and stuff, but that one I was like, yeah. And he's a true outlaw.
And he is a very
He's not an outlaw, and he's not posse. He's a true outlaw.
That's right. That's right. And then I guess this is kind of a more collective one, but and it kind of crosses NASCAR and dirt. You got the Alabama gang.
Yep.
All you guys down there, the Allisons, the Bonnets, the Stricklands, and of course Red Farmer. I guess he's kind of the outlier of all that. But and everybody just around from the same area.
That was big enough to get a back straightaway named after him.
Yeah.
That back straightaway ain't named after Bobby Allison or Dale Earnhardt. It's the Alabama gang straightaway. And I'm just like, that, like you said, that was unique because that was a lot of different families. Not all of them were related. Right. Red Farmer's not related to the Allisons. Neither is, I don't think Neil Bonnet's related to them. They were just people that mostly were around Bobby and, what was Bobby's brother's name? Donny. And they just, like you said, they were all from Alabama.
Yeah, all from Alabama. Then, like I said, you had the Bonnets and then the Stricklands, Hut and those guys. So, so that one's pretty neat. And then Super Tex, AJ Foyt, being down there from Houston, I want to say.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about his nickname being Super Tex. I always just think of him as the guy in the Copenhagen uniform cussing out the poor pit reporter. Said something about he took the Lord's name in vain. He had a pink hat on. He was pissed. Well, Super Tex. I forgot about Super Tex.
He's one you better have the dump button ready whenever the microphone's in his face. Yeah.
Or here's one I liked that was location based. The Tasmanian Devil. Marcus Ambrose.
Yes.
Now that one,
that was neat. Yep.
I think it would be easy. That one was kind of a little bit easier just because he's from there, and the only thing I know about Tasmania is they're the Devils, which is the cartoon character does not look like the real thing.
Well,
but,
I hope not.
But I remember when he would run on road courses in NASCAR, then I'd be like, okay, now I see. This is, he wasn't big on the ovals, but road course, that guy was a bulldog.
Well, that V8 supercar class is just, all them dudes are devils out there.
Oh, they're nuts,
That is one of the most exciting road course racing series to watch. I liked some call him the Iceman. Again, that's another one of those names that you can plug a bunch of names in, but Kimi Räikkönen, the Flying Finn. Yep. And F1, these guys are from all over the world, so it's cool to see them represent an entire country or whatever the case may be.
And then there's the local guys. I know the Reidsville Rocket, Jason York, the McLeansville Missile, Dustin Rumley. I always liked the Rhonda Rocket, Matthew Nance. That one kind of always stuck out to me because, again, I still don't really have a good clue where Rhonda, North Carolina is, but I know, and it helps me as an announcer because I don't have to go ask them where their hometown is.
There you go.
Especially when they include it. Or two versions of the Express. I'll see which one you like better.
Okay.
There's the El Paso Express,
okay,
Ryan Unsicker, and the Salt Rock Express, Eddie Carrier Jr. That's a tough one. I'd probably lean toward Carrier.
I'm going Carrier on that one because it was a Salt Rock Express, and he had the train logo with it.
On the hood, yeah.
On the hood, and so that just played into the nickname even more so there.
Yeah, and then probably the last one I had on my list on just unique location ones was the Georgia Bulldog Shane Clanton for two reasons. One, he's from Georgia, and then that's the University of Georgia is the Bulldog, so it kind of ties in with the state, and it's kind of easy to remember. I don't know if he's ever done a Georgia Bulldog themed.
He did.
He did
at Eldora. Yeah, he did at
it had to be the World.
Well, yeah. Well, at the World for several years in a row. I think it was Dirt on Dirt. They'd put up like $1,000 bonus to the best looking car. So a lot of guys would do like a one-off paint scheme there. And he had the University of Georgia stuff. The Bulldog on the front, the big G on the top of the hood, and all. Yes, that one looked pretty cool. The unique thing about the location one too is a lot of these guys are from small towns. You don't have too many guys from like a big metropolis, if you will. So it puts that that, like you said, you wouldn't even know where, Moweaqua was or what state it was in. And so it kind of puts them on the map too. Like I've heard Jimmy Owens talk about, it's kind of cool for Newport because nobody knows Newport, Tennessee. And then you have got, like the Winfield Warrior, Mike Miller.
I forgot about another example of forgetting.
It's going to happen a lot.
The Winfield Warrior.
Winfield Warrior, Brownsburg Bullet, Joey Saldana.
Yeah.
These little small towns that. And now, like, I find myself, obviously because I am a racing fan, but, when we go on trips and stuff, and we pass by the sign, like, oh, that's where such and such is from, or, kind of thing. So, pretty cool, kind of give some rep to the local towns there.
Yeah, the nickname kind of helps. Not only is it describing the driver, but it is also helping endear to you where he's from.
Where he's from, yeah.
Like you said, if you... for the majority of nicknames, I think the location ones are less than half. But for a lot of these guys, you probably wouldn't know where they were from at all, if not for an announcer. And usually you got 25 cars out there. You can't hear everything he's saying unless you watch a pay-per-view. So I think, like you said, I'd never know where a lot of these people are from.
Well, it's kind of similar, like ball stick sports, like especially football is big on it, and basketball some too. The guys like to use their area codes. You know, they rep the whatever, the 336, the 919 or whatever. So because they're proud of where they come from, and they want people to know. So that's kind of cool that they give a little shout out, I guess, to your hometown there.
I think, and your hometown has got to be something kind of quicker. It can't be some like Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Like you've already taken up too many syllables just with the name of the hometown. Yes. I've never heard Haw River used as a nickname.
I don't think we got any racing stars out of Haw River yet.
Now Jason Payne did some good.
Yeah,
but I've never heard a Burlington one.
No, I mean, and we've had drivers out of Burlington, but I can't think of any, like a Burlington Bullet
Burlington
or
Bomber,
like anything like that. Because
the Gibsonville Gator.
Well, you had Brian King was just the Bullet. He wasn't like the Burlington Bullet. I can't think of anything Burlington Graham related. No.
I guarantee Swepsonville didn't either.
That's right.
The Swepsonville broomsticks or something.
That's right.
Actually, I think their summer collegiate team is the Swepsonville Sweepers.
Sweepers, yep.
So it could have been a sweeper.
Close enough.
Like you said, it helps play in that most of these guys are from these little, just small little towns, unincorporated areas. So it helps out. Now, this is going to get more fun the further we go. The descriptive nicknames describing either a driving style or demeanor. And again, I think most of these are positive, but there are some in here where it's like a negative connotation. And I think what helps is that eventually most of them realize, all right, the more I fight it, the worse it's going to get. I might as well just embrace it.
Play into it, yeah.
Like we had a guy I remember on the football team in high school that, I mean, he looked like Screech from Saved by the Bell. And he just hated it. He would get so upset, and finally I think he just bought into it, and like, you get over it.
Just embrace it, especially for these guys. You embrace it, and then you start selling T-shirts and bumper stickers and make some money off of it.
There you go. So this one, and some of these I think will, like I said, some of these will cross over to multiple people who try to claim them. Like I thought about the Southern Gentleman, Barry Begley, but you would probably say Freddie Smith. So some of these cross over to other people, but it was hard for me to beat Mr. Smooth, Billy Moyer, because that one, it's like, all right, number one, that's a describer of how he drives. And number two, in racing, what more would you want to be known as other than fast? Smooth. A lot of people can be fast, but who can be smooth? So, it's hard to rank them, but that one is at the top of my list. Mr. Smooth that's a tough one to beat for me.
And conversely to that, how in the world he got this nickname? You have the smooth operator, Bobby Pierce.
Now, that nickname is a false nickname. And
there is nothing smooth about how that dude drives, man.
No, ask Scott Bloomquist. Ask Tyler Erb. There ain't nothing smooth operator about
that
Bobby
dude,
Pierce.
man.
Heck of a talent.
Yes.
That was the wrong nickname submitted to him.
Yes. I don't have like a number one or even a favorite because there's just so many cool ones. But I think I'll play off of the Mr. Smooth there. I think Magic Shoes Mike McLaughlin. I think that's a borderline unique one, obviously, because I can't think of anyone else named that. But also, he got that name because of his driving style and how he could do the heel toe, shifting gears and braking and all that kind of stuff. I think that one's pretty cool, and that's a nickname that you can be proud to have.
Yeah, I mean, if you say Magic Shoes, you don't think of anybody but Mike McClung.
That's right.
Aside from Mr. Smooth, the other one that jumps out on my list has to be the Intimidator.
Oh, of course.
And it's funny because, like, they interviewed Chocolate Myers on Dale Jr.'s podcast. He talked about, well, he didn't have to do that much. It was more of just a persona. But I'm telling you, that nickname probably sold more T-shirts than any other nickname on this list. Mm-hmm. I guarantee there was a bunch of people that just, the Intimidator was cool. And he did have the stuff that backed it up. Ask Jeff Bodine. Ask Ricky Rudd.
Russell Wallace.
Yeah, I mean, he could be.
Darrell Waltrip, ask them all, man.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt could definitely be intimidating, but I think that one was probably the most commercially successful of any nickname we'll say today.
And then, of course, his other nickname being the Man in Black. Always had the black number 3, man. Never outside of the Winston, he didn't really do any crazy paint jobs. He was always solid black with a white 3 on the side.
That is a time I miss in NASCAR.
Yeah.
And you had the same paint scheme. Yeah, but that's different issue for a different podcast. What's another one jumping off your list?
I like descriptive off of driving style. You have like the high side hustler, Jason Fager.
Yep.
Who for the longest time, especially running those bull rings on the Summer Nationals, all that stuff, you had to run the top, which not so much anymore. He's done switch chassis and stuff, but that's kind of how he made his name. He just put it on the top and let it rip. High side tickler, Kyle Strickler, kind of goes off with the name thing too, but he's another one to run the top there. You got Easy E, Eric Wells.
Yeah.
That's how he drives, but it's also his personality too. So that one kind of crosses over both sides there. And then some of the other descriptive ones off of something that they accomplished or something that they did. I think that's pretty cool too. I know we hadn't done much drag racing yet, so I'll throw in the bounty hunter, Connie Coletta.
Oh yes, the bounty hunter.
Back in the old days when you did a lot more match racing and stuff back then, and they'd throw money on the line and they'd go out and collect.
That is a lost aspect of drag racing that I hate is lost.
Yeah, now it's.
I mean, John Force talks about how much he used to match race, and he's John Force.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that's you don't say that much anymore. Drag racing is one of those unique sports, man. Like like your local stuff, the NHRA is what it is, but your local stuff, your local tracks, man, just what draws the crowd. Like it used to be, like. 10 years ago, man, it was all about pro mods and you had the ADRL, and that was, these places were packed going there. Everybody wanted to see pro mods, they wanted to see the top sportsman stuff, and now it's match racing to a sense, but it's all the gambling stuff, and that's really spurned off of the TV show, the Street Outlaws stuff.
Yeah.
Come throw the money up, but they ain't running for time, they ain't none of that kind of stuff. You ain't dialing in nothing. This is
line them up and go.
Line them up and go, yep.
Oh, here's a unique one for describing, and this is personality, and this is probably a bad one. Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
Darrell Waltrip, because Darrell Waltrip has never been short on what to say. He has never had his breath taken away. Darrell Waltrip and Jaws, and I think he finally embraced it after a while, and he still runs them Jaws. Maybe not as bad as he used to, but that was one that jumped out. I always like this one, and I hate he's not out there running anymore like he used to. The crowd pleaser, Craig Delansky.
Yep.
I was never in a crowd that Craig Delansky pleased, but just that nickname, I was just like, you know what, that's just cool. Like, the crowd pleaser.
The crowd pleaser.
That's a cool one.
Yeah. And then I guess you can go do one off of looks too. You got Handsome Harry Gant. And
he apparently doesn't like that nickname. Which is weird. Mom, that's a cool nickname.
My mom thought he was a handsome-looking fella, so it fit. She gave him the thumbs up on that one.
I've heard some other women say he was handsome.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that would be a cool one to play on. At least they're not calling you ugly.
Exactly.
Look like a backside of a horse or something.
He had the tall, cool one, Bob Pierce, the old man.
Now that's
a tall, lanky dude, man.
Yeah, ask Tyler Erb about that one.
With good elbows.
Yeah. Or here's one that's cool. Gentleman Ned. Mm-hmm. Ned Jarrett, because he was always I'm sure Ned got fired up a couple times, but when you're Gentleman Ned, that says something about you, and he could still win races.
Yeah. We haven't done much F1 yet, so we'll throw in the Rainmaster, Ayrton Senna, one of arguably the best to ever racing in the rain. Look at some old highlights, man. This dude, he had car control beyond his years at those times.
Yeah, Brett the Jet Hearn is one I always think about. Now, I'm sure there's some other nicknames for Brett because I'm sure he's a handful as far as personality goes. Describing one. This one I love to death, and it has a song that pairs with it. The Lowrider.
Yeah, that's right.
Dale Blaney.
That's right.
I'm like, dude, even if you don't even make the A main, I know your nickname.
That's right.
The Lowrider.
And you can point him out on the track because he's going to be the only one running around the hub.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Accomplishment ones, you got the $1 Million Man, Donny Moran, winning the Eldor Million. Showtime, Steve Shaver. He watched him, especially when he's running the 6 car, and then in his own stuff in the 30, he'd win a crown jewel, and he wouldn't be on anybody's radar to win the crown jewel, but he'd show up when the money was on. Yeah.
The Wild Child, Jack Hodenshield. Another one that kind of, like Strickler, it kind of plays into his name. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Oh, here's one from drag racing that maybe I should have put this one in the unique category. Actually, I'm going to save it for the unique category. I was going to say Herb McCandless's nickname.
Okay.
I'm going to save that one. Hollywood Tim Richmond.
Okay.
Which helped describe his personality a lot.
And lifestyle.
All them boys in the 80s in NASCAR, they were putting off that blue-collar vibe. I mean, they had farms, they had cattle, they had stuff. Right. And Tim Richmond was Hollywood because he was a cosmopolitan, and he kind of did what he wanted and flaunted it, and unfortunately that's probably what got him, sick and stuff. But Hollywood Tim Richmond, Ironheart Ralph Earnhardt. That one, I'm like, that would be tough to be known as Ironheart. You're just cold-hearted, like a piece of iron.
I'll go. This one could be unique and also descriptive. Double Down Jason Sides.
Yep.
And he got that nickname from after a race. They were in Vegas, and they group went out to play. Was playing cards, blackjack, whatever the case may be. And no, it was blackjack. Excuse me. And he would just double down on basically every hand, kind of thing. So that was pretty cool and descriptive of, I guess, something that happened. Had Whole Shot Eddie Hill. Old drag racer there. I know you're holding on to hers, so I'll put in one of his rivals back then, old Grumpy Bill Jenkins.
Grumpy
Jenkins, yep. Because just his personality. And I talked to Herb, and he's like, he was a nice guy. He didn't care for the the fanfare kind of thing, so he always was kind of a little turned off, yeah.
Or you ever heard at A Speedway Greasy Garinger?
Greasy, yep.
Like that's a interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to be called Greasy.
And who could forget Mr. Excitement, Jimmy Spencer?
See, now that's a nickname that 10 people try to claim. But yeah, I like Jimmy Spencer as Mr. Excitement.
Yeah, go watch some of the old Bristol races. You'll see why he was called Mr. Excitement.
Ask Kurt Busch about that one. Or old Front Row Joe.
Front Row Joe, yeah.
Joe Nemechek.
Yep.
Even though toward the back half of his career, he was Back Row Joe. But I like the old Front Row Joe. That one was a unique one.
How about now this one? I'll see if you'll allow it to be descriptive because it was descriptive of the car he drove.
Okay.
Flintstone Flyer.
I do like that. I'll put that in.
Mike
that could be either one.
Okay. See, it was unique to him.
Yeah.
But it's also descriptive because of the car.
And I guarantee he had more kids that liked him than anything just because he was smart enough to put Fred Flintstone on the car, it would probably be the equivalent today of putting SpongeBob on your car.
Yeah.
Like kids gravitate. It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. So Cale Gale had a Southern modified, and he painted it like the Lightning McQueen car from Cars, and kids love that thing and flocked right to it. So it's like, I like the ones that you don't always have to appeal to adults. You appeal to the kids.
Exactly.
They're dragging the adult over there with them.
Which is genius because, we're trying to keep the sport alive. So if you get them interested and they're like, I want to go back to the track Saturday night to see that car with the cartoons on it.
There you go.
You just made a new fan, yep.
Oh. Getting off the family-themed nicknames, Paws to the Walls, Paul McMahon will snap from G-rated to R-rated, Paws to the Walls, which I'm glad Paul cleaned up, or whoever it was cleaned up to put his name instead of what would normally be in the front of that. So I like that. It plays on something, and it makes it suitable, but still, if I recited that nickname in front of my mother-in-law, she'd be like, Tyler, you're a little close.
That's what those nicknames like when you're at the track and nobody's ever heard that name and the announcer says it, they're like, did he just say what I thought he said?
Pretty close. Substitute a few consonants there.
Back to family, Kid Rocket, Josh Richards. And now that one's neat.
I haven't heard him called that in a while.
Well, now he's Rocket Man because, he's of age. But when he was, a teenager, early 20s, everybody was calling him Kid Rocket, but now he's Rocket Man. But that one, even though Rocket is very bland because it's used so much, that one is specific for him and descriptive of him because his dad, Mark Richards, is the owner of Rocket Chassis. So that one I'll allow.
All right. Are there any more descriptive ones you got to get out of your system before we switch to the unique category?
2 more.
Okay.
One, and I'm very surprised you did not say this one because I know you're a fan, Big Sexy.
I put that in the unique one.
Okay.
Because he's not that big.
He was when he started. But before CrossFit by Overton came around.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
He was a big boy.
All right. I'll give you that one. In the time I've known him, he's been like a normal size guy.
Okay.
So I never realized why. I actually have the story on that nickname, but I'll save it for later.
Okay, and last one for descriptive, and this is, I think, the ultimate honor you can have as a descriptive of something you did or accomplished, the King.
Yep, Richard Petty.
And Steve Kinzer.
Yep.
So, I think that's.
Was he the king or was he the king of the Outlaws?
Well,
I've heard both used for him.
It was King of the Outlaws because he won King's Royal, and then, of course, that was earlier on in his career, and then after he wins 20 championships, he's just the king.
Yeah.
Yep, King Steve Kinzer. Yep.
That's not a nickname that gets tossed around a lot. So,
no,
man,
that's something to be proud of for sure.
Yeah.
You earned that one.
You got to be the daggum man. So now we get to the hardest category. This is why we didn't rank them, because there's too many good ones in here. The unique category, which I think now we have some crossover, because some of the ones that you called descriptive, I called unique. So
okay.
Tomato, potato, potato.
And it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all the same. So I don't even know where to start on unique. You know what? Actually, I will go with one. I like it because it has a story with it. The snake charmer, Trent Stevens. Now, you probably don't know who Trent Stevens is. Trent Stevens, when the Super Modifieds came down to race at Ace, which is the most ungodly looking asphalt vehicle I've ever seen. Motors hanging off the left side. The wing goes up and down. It was scary.
Yeah.
I really thought we were going to get somebody hurt, but it was amazing to see. And I hear Trent Stevens get his name called and the snake charmer. So I asked the announcer, I was like, where do you get that kind of nickname? And they said they were at a race somewhere and a snake was loose in the pits, and they said that apparently Trent Stevens got a hold of it and like whipped it back into the woods, and so they started calling the snake charmer. And I was like, you know what?
That's cool.
That makes the list just because it's not just some made up thing. Like there actually is a story, and the announcer was smart enough doing his homework that he could share it. And I was like, okay, that endears it to me.
Yeah.
So I like the ones on this list that actually have a story with them. So
yeah.
Snake Charmer starts me off.
All right. I'm going to go extremely homer here because not only is he my favorite, but he has 2 extremely unique nicknames, and that is the Voodoo Child and Black Sunshine for my man Scott Bloomquist. I mean, no one else, any other motorsport, have you ever heard those 2 names? And so it's cool enough to have one unique nickname, and my man's got 2. So,
and I hated when they tried to call him the Dirt Tracks Dominator. I was like, that was so corporate.
It is, and that's most definitely a TV nickname. And before races, started being on CBS and MAV and stuff, no one ever called him that. But I mean, it sold him some T-shirts, but that's about it.
I like Black Sunshine. I don't even like the guy, but I like Black Sunshine. The guy's just like,
yeah,
man, that's unique.
Yeah.
Here's one. Roy Buckshot Jones.
Yes.
Bless his heart, Buckshot was not getting the victory lane in the Cup Series. I only knew him I literally only knew Buckshot because of his nickname. Otherwise, I probably would have had no reason to have anything. I mean, he had a cool car. He had the 00 car and it was sponsored by Aquafresh, so it was a toothpaste sponsorship. But Roy Buckshot Jones. And then when I was announcing at Southern National Motorsports Park in 2013, they had a Buckshot Jones there, and I was like, oh man, it's like,
no way. Yeah.
Is this the same guy? It was not the same guy.
Not.
But I was like, Buckshot Jones.
Buckshot Jones.
Everybody always remembers old Buckshot.
That's right. Let's see, unique. How about the Silver Fox, David Pearson?
Oh, yes.
That's it.
And the talent and the accolades to back it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I guess story-wise, now this one I've heard there are different stories, and I don't know which one is true. But Barefoot Bob Mccready,
Yes.
just a master of the modifieds, the dirt modifieds up in the Northeast. And the story that I'm going with, just because I think it's the coolest of all the nicknames behind, or the reasons behind the nickname, is it was after, I want to say, Hot Laps or Qualifying 1. His shoes had cracked, basically. Like, he couldn't lace them up anymore, and they're like rushing to get out in time for the feature. So he jumps in, one shoe on the left, barefoot on the right, goes out and runs the race barefooted, basically, and wins the race. And got out the car, and the announcer noticed it and was calling him Barefoot Bob. I don't know if that's true or not, because, like I said, there's about 2 or 3 different stories behind it, but that's the coolest one, so that's the one I'm going with.
It's like our version of Shoeless Joe Jackson.
That's right.
We got Barefoot Bob.
Yep.
Let's see. Some of these got. I'm not going to repeat any of the ones. Of course, Handsome Harry Gant. Tony Stewart. I know you called him the Rushville Rocket, but Smoke.
Of course, yeah.
Smoke. That one, to me, I was just like, I remember the first time I heard someone call him that on a NASCAR race, I was just like, dang, that's a cool nickname. And like, and then you can do the whole play on thing of, smoke rising and blah, blah, blah. But it was like, he would actually sign in at dirt tracks when he'd go run his sprint car. He would not sign in as Tony Stewart. Sometimes he would sign in as Smoke Johnson. And I was like, bro, even that's a cool name. Like, if I had been named Smoke Johnson, I would have got a lot more dates in high school.
Well, see, I thought the smoke came from, it was a barbecue sauce. And it was like a really hot, sauce you put on wings and stuff like that. And because of his hot temper, and one of the NASCAR drivers got him the barbecue sauce, the smoked barbecue sauce, and that's where the nickname came from in the NASCAR side of things. That's the story I've heard behind it.
That's interesting. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
I never heard that story.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I figured maybe it was because he kind of was on that hot streak in the early 2000s in NASCAR where he was winning a lot and he was doing a lot of burnouts and, and then he played into it and started putting smoke above the door.
Right.
So it was like, okay, he's open and acknowledging this one. And he did have a temper. He still has a temper.
Yeah.
So that's a cool one.
I'll go to, since we talked about the old match race and drag race and stuff, I don't think one gets more unique than the Snake and the Mongoose.
Oh,
Don
yes.
Prudhomme and Tom McEwen. And
the Snake and
the Mongoose, which actually turned into a movie too. The grudge racing back then, and of course, the old stories of the Snake and Mongoose from the war times and whatnot. They'd put them in the pit, and sometimes Snake wins, sometimes the Mongoose would win.
Speaking of drag racing, now I'll circle back to Herb McCandless, Mr. 4-Speed.
Yep.
And that, you gotta, again, I think that's one that you have to date when Herb was running. It was not in the time where these guys in the top, like in your top nitro glasses, they don't shift the gears. They got the clutch that engages. Where Herb was coming from in the class he was in, I mean, you was hanging on the wheel with one hand because you had to actually shift. And to have this success he had where someone would call him Mr. 4-Speed, I'm like, man, even if I didn't like you, like, that's just that's a great drag racing nickname, I thought.
To get a factory ride because you're that good at shifting gears, that's impressive. That's a cool name.
Oh yeah,
I think what else makes a name unique to somebody is if it's a play off of their name specifically.
Okay.
So you see, a lot of the mix and the Macs in there. So you have like T-Mac, and that could, you got Tim McCready, Terry McCarl, you've got Mac Daddy, Dale McDowell. That's specific to just their name.
The Cat Daddy.
The Cat Daddy.
Clint Smith.
B. Shep, Brandon Shepard. Fergie, we got Fergie time there because he's good for one lap at least.
Oh no!
I'm not gonna knock the man because he made all the laps at Florence and all the laps at Port Royal.
So, I think he finished 5th.
Finished 4th last night. Yep. Yep. And he's running good out there. So
old Fergie time.
Just picking with him. I don't think you get much more unique on the name though than Chubzilla.
Oh, yeah. That one, yeah. Chubb, see, by the time I got into dirt late model racing, Chubb was kind of on the back half. He wasn't having a lot of success. But with a name like Chubzilla, you're like, I'm at least going to pay attention to that number 1 car.
And he did a special paint job, and it's like just this god awful looking creature on the car and stuff and all, and sold a bunch of T-shirts. That's another one, man. Just embrace it and make the most of it.
Most unique use of that nickname, and you'll know where I'm going with this. When you go to World Finals, you see a little bit of everything, and there was a particular merchandise booth that was set up that was selling women's underwear, and of course, on one of them on the front, it had Chubzilla, and it was like, you know what?
Yep.
Even if they don't sell any, props for being unique in your thinking.
You almost want to buy one just to say it. It would never get used, but you'd always want to.
My wife would probably make me sleep outside.
That's right.
If I suggested that one. Here's one. Big Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Don Garlits.
Yeah.
Another drag. See, I think the drag racing ones, they're a lot more personality driven than the circle track ones. I feel like the circle track ones, you get a lot more of the ones that denote speed. Mm-hmm. But I think in drag racing, everybody's going fast, so it has to be a little more unique. So like you said, you had, what was it, the Mongoose and the Snake and Mr. 4-Speed. None of those really denote speed. They just denote certain things. That Big Daddy, to me, I was just like, man, that's a cool one. Yeah. Not the movie, the man,
That's right.
Don Garlits.
That's right. How about old Sterling Marlin's dad, Cuckoo?
Oh, Cuckoo Marlin.
Cuckoo Marlin.
You would never mistake Cuckoo Marlin. Oh, here's one. This is one that played off of something. This is a condition this guy had, and I think I don't know if he bought into it or if it just got repeated enough. I don't know if you remember Jeremy Stenberg used to run, I think he used to do like step up at the X Games, and I don't know if he rode motocross or if he just did tricks.
Okay.
His nickname was Twitch.
Okay.
Because I think he had Tourette's, so he did have an actual twitch.
Okay.
But I think he won a few of the motocross freestyle, like the trick competitions and stuff. I don't know that he rode like the actual racing, like the Monster Energy stuff, but I think he just did the tricks. But I just thought that was cool because it's probably something that for most of his life he was probably embarrassed by.
Yeah.
But it's not meant as an insulting thing. It's just kind of funny. Twitch.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. How about the dude, Danny Lesoski?
That's on my list.
Yeah.
The dude, Danny Lesoski.
The dude, yep. That was definitely unique to him. I can't think of anybody else with that one.
I never forget how much he got booed one time after him and Brian Brown got into it at Knoxville, and then of course they didn't interview him. They introduced him, and as soon as they say the dude, and it was boo,
which is hilarious because Lesoski basically made Brian Brown who he is at Knoxville.
I think they got in a fight in the end. They didn't get in a fight. I think they're all tied in family somehow.
Yeah,
and,
they're related somehow. Yep.
I think like Lesoski and Brown got into each other or something, and Lesoski was like asking people to hit him down in the pits. Something.
Yes.
The dude, Daniel Lesoski. Here's one. Unique. I've never heard anyone else called by this nickname. Rambo. Dennis Franklin. Which I always looked at Rambo. I didn't think of much as the movie. I always just thought Rambo because he's a good sized old boy.
He is a big boy.
Dennis Franklin ain't no small fry. So when I think
he ain't
Rambo,
struggling for left side car weight. We'll put it that way.
No, good as gold, and probably as popular as anybody at certain periods, especially here in the North Carolina, South Carolina area. But you say Rambo, Dennis Franklin.
Well, I'll stick with Southern Dirt Tracking then, and I don't know of anyone else called this. Got the head knockers, P.D. Ivy head knocker, and then his son Trent Ivy, the little head knocker. Yeah,
head knocker. That one was like, you better not be a boxer with that nickname. Yeah. You get knocked in the head enough times, you're gonna be hurting it. But I like that one. That one's a unique one, and Trent plays it off pretty good as well.
Yeah.
Big, sexy Brandon Overton. Now, I will tell you the story. This is what Brandon told me. I went and did a limited late model race down at Hartwell, Georgia, and he was driving Daniel Baggerly's car. And I said something about Big Sexy or something. I asked him if I could call him that. And he's like, yeah, sure, whatever. And I asked him where it came from. And he, according to Brandon, what he told me was there was an announcer, I forget what track it was at, there was somewhere Brandon raced a lot, and this announcer partook a lot in what's the way to say it? Foreign substances.
Okay.
the ones you hold with your hand.
The Cheech and Chong?
Yeah, you inhale. Yeah,
Okay.
he was smoking some dope.
Okay.
So apparently he just started calling him Big Sexy, and it kind of just stuck. And it was funny. We were riding down the road, me and my wife were, and I said something about Brandon Overton because they're in about the same age bracket. And she said, well, let me see a picture of him. And she Google image searched it, and she was like, I mean, he's cool, but I wouldn't call him like sexy. And I was like, I don't think he means it as that. But some that don't fit, Mac Daddy does not fit. And here's why. When the first time I heard Dale McDowell called Mac Daddy, in my mind, when I hear Mac Daddy, I'm thinking of a guy in a brightly colored suit. He might have a cane with some studs in it, a fedora hat.
It's not M-A-C-K, it's M-A-C.
Well, I'm just saying, when I hear Mac Daddy, that's what I think. And who gets out of the car? Some 5'11", 6-foot tall guy with white hair. Kind of goofy looking.
Well, that's the daddy part of it.
Yes. But that one was cool because you had Mac Daddy, you had Cat Daddy, and then I think there was a third one, but I don't remember who it was.
Well, that's because there's nothing that rhymes with Chickamauga, man.
See, that is the most unique hometown there is. The Chickamauga. Yeah, you're right. Nothing rhymes with Chickamauga.
Mac Daddy.
Okay, I'll go with that. That's a fine one. Man, I'm trying to think which one I have not named. Oh, Scrub.
Rick Eckert, yep.
That's one I need to. Next time I see Rick Eckert, I need to get an autograph, and I need to ask him where Scrub came from. But it probably has something to do with the fact that he is a tiny little human being.
He's a little guy, yep.
It has to be. But I like it because it's just like, you know what? Unique. I've never heard anyone else called Scrub.
Yeah, and I've never heard anyone else called The Truth other than, wasn't Allen Iverson The Truth?
No, he was the answer.
He's the answer.
Yeah, he was the answer.
Well, The Truth, Greg Satterley.
Yeah.
But I thought there was another athlete called The Truth. But
there might have been.
Racing general, I can't think of anyone else called The Truth.
Yeah. But see, there's not a... In racing, you have more time to work these nicknames into a call.
Yeah.
If a football player had a nickname, you'd have a hard time working it in as far as like the play-by-play. Like if Javon Curse got a sack, I don't have a lot of time to say the freak.
Yeah.
I got to say Javon Curse got the sack, color commentator gives some analysis, and then we're going to the next play. Racing, because sometimes you do get a little more time to talk as an announcer, you do have more time to work these nicknames in.
And it's also, it's going to play more into the atmosphere in a racetrack. You can't say the freak got the sack because that just don't sound right.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to be without a job in a couple of days.
Okay. This one could have been maybe a hometown one, but it's actually not his hometown. Maybe it's just a descriptor where he comes from. The Flatland Flash, Kevin Weaver. That one I thought was kind of a nice little play on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still wish he had Jimmy John's sponsorship. That one. Smokey, Chris Madden.
Yeah.
I don't know where that one come from. Do you know about the story on Smokey? Was his car smoking bad one night?
What I heard is it's off of the thing that's on his eye, like that little growth thing right there. And he would squint his eyes, so he always looked like he had like smoky eyes. Is what I heard it from, because it's some kind of, I guess, birthmark or some kind of mole or something like that. It's right there at his eyes, and it's dark. And so when he squints his eyes, on top of that being dark, making his complexion look dark, it was like smoky eyes. That's what I got out of it.
Okay.
That's what I've been told, at least.
I never heard the story on that one. Let's see. What else you got on your list? You got any other ones jumping out at you, or if we ran through the whole list?
We ran through a bunch of them, man. I'm sure I've looked over a few of them. I guess you can throw in old Happy Harvick, because that has nothing to do with his personality.
He's never...
When he got that nickname, he's a lot more chill now. He's a dad. He's established. Back when he's jumping on Ricky Rudd's hood and all, he wasn't exuding too much happiness back then.
Yeah, let's see. We've already done the Iceman for Kimi Räikkönen. Here's one I cannot leave off. The White Knight.
Yeah.
Dick Trickle. And that one, I think, it's cool because of the career that Dick Trickle had. I mean, reports indicate he won over 1,000 races. Who knows how many it actually was, because the bookkeeping's a little shoddy. I'm sure it's tough to verify. It's not on Racing Reference, but, I mean, Dick Trickle probably could have had 10, but he does have a lot of nicknames that are probably inappropriate because of his name. Mm-hmm. But the White Knight, Dick Trickle, And
we'll I'm pretty sure we have not given a shout out to car owners yet, so we'll throw out a Cat in the Hat. Jack Rouse.
Yep.
Very, kind of like Richard Petty. He's known for his attire more than anything else, almost. And then, of course, the captain.
Yep.
Mr. Penske.
Mr. Penske.
So, yep.
Yeah. Or Richard Hold My Rings Childress for what he took his rings off before he punched Kyle Busch in the face.
Say what you want to do about Austin, but that's awesome for Richard. You ought to be a fan for that.
Oh, I forgot it. Here's a unique one. This one came up at Ace, and I tried working this in, and then I stopped doing it for a while. It was more of a tower nickname than anything. There was a guy named Bobby Griffin that ran late models and limiteds out at Ace.
Yes.
And there was one night that old Bobby got a little upset at a gentleman named Brad Kurth. And Bobby took his gloves off and reached in, and I think he was trying to help Brad put his seatbelt back on. He reached in with some force, and we called him Bare Knuckles Bobby Griffin for a while. I don't know if I ever told Bobby that, but I was just like, you know what? I wish that would catch on, but I don't want to hurt Bobby's feelings.
Yes.
So some of these ones you had to be careful.
Yes.
Like if I called Brad Keselowski what Jason Turner calls him, horse face. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I know Brad ain't the best looking guy in the world. He's not a male model, but don't call him horse face.
Whenever he smiles, I feel like I want to learn how to play the piano. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, goodness. And there's a lot of probably nicknames that we don't like. Probably the last one on here that I do like that I had not named already was there's a guy named Justin Carroll, runs late models, and his nickname is Toast. And I was just like, you know what? You're not sliced bread. You're not ham and cheese sandwich. You're not something goofy. Toast. I was like, you know what? You get points for being unique. So, Justin Carroll, don't say I never mentioned you on my podcast. Toast, Justin Carroll.
Yeah, that one's cool. Just the generic names, I did my best to leave them off here, and they're tied into some very popular, accomplished drivers. But if you like comic book or superheroes like Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, that's just so played out in my opinion, because I mean it's in all sports and there's only one. Like a lot of these names, like it's specific to that person.
Yeah.
But there's how many Supermans in all sports, or how many, Batman. Well, I guess the only true Spider-Man's got to be Jeep Van Warmer, which
exactly.
Jeep is also a nickname there too as well. But,
yeah, I like old Jeep Van Warmer. Or, gosh darn. Oh, one that he probably didn't appreciate at all, but Dale Earnhardt made it famous. You remember what he called Jeff Gordon?
Rainbow Warrior, yeah.
No, not the Rainbow Warrior.
Oh, that was the pit crew.
That was the pit crew, was Rainbow Warriors.
Crew.
What was it that Dale Earnhardt called him? Do you remember?
Yes, but you put me on the spot.
Wonder Boy.
Wonder Boy.
He went up, Dale Earnhardt's getting interviewed, and a young, spry Jeff Gordon pops up, and Dale Earnhardt's, Wonder Boy's here. And he knew how good he was. I think that's why he was trying to gouge him a little bit. He's a Wonder Boy.
That's right.
My grandpa called Jeff Gordon Wonder Boy just because of Dale Earnhardt. Oh, jeez. So many. I'm surprised we even got through the list that we did make. Yeah. There's just so many of them.
Yep. There's a lot that I'm sure we overlooked, and there's a lot of...
I guarantee Jamie Blaylock's probably going to listen to this and be like, you didn't get any of the ones that I listed.
Well, we'll just call this one a part one. How about that?
About to say, yeah, I'm sure there'll be plenty more to choose from. Because there's new nicknames getting made all the time.
That's right.
There's people coming into the sport, and I've heard the Rabbit. I've heard a bunch of different ones. I mean, it's fun to see as things go down. Like I've heard Burt Myers called the Ace, and the Rocket, Tim Brown. So a lot of them are just
repetitive.
Some of these ones are a little repetitive, so it's hard to figure out who to assign it to.
Yeah, and like we were saying before, like Wild Child. I mean, how many Wild Childs?
I know a lot of Wild Childs.
There's a lot of Wild Childs, and you put Fast in there, Slick, Rocket, Jet. Something pertaining with speed. That covers a large ground of a lot of them too. Here's
a few I have to get in. Terrible Tommy Ellis, Jack the Iron Man Ingram. That's a good one. 7-time Jimmy Johnson. That's Ziggy Zimmerman.
Zig. Yep.
His name is not Ziggy on his birth certificate, so Ziggy is a nickname. That's a good one.
You can put that one on Mason Ziegler too.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot about. Oh, last one before I I know you got a curveball you want to throw in. The Blonde Blizzard, Curtis Turner. That one to me, I was like, you know what, that one was kind of unique. Because that was also in a time when Curtis Turner was racing. I mean, them boys were out there. If they were wearing a helmet at all, it was probably an old leather football helmet. It was not a closed-faced helmet with a Hans device. I mean, they're sitting in there on a bench seat in the car with a DOT seat belt. So you probably could see Curtis Turner's blonde hair flapping in the breeze. So I kind of like the Blonde Blizzard Curtis Turner.
And although I tie anything Lightning in generic, because there's a bunch of Lightnings out there, Lightning Larrys and all this kind of stuff.
Jack Pennington, all them.
We'll have just because she's one of the very few females running sprint cars, we'll have to give Lady Lightning, Paige Polyak, a shout out there.
Yeah, Lady Lightning.
Lady Lightning. I'll allow that one.
Yeah, just for breaking through the barrier.
That's right. Yeah.
Because I've only known two. About to say Paige Polyak and Jessica Zimkin are the only ones I know. I know there's that girl. She's running at Knoxville. That's pretty darn good, but I forget her darn name. I need to learn it because she's pretty good.
Who's the one that married Ray Evernham? Aaron.
Oh, Aaron Crocker.
Yeah, Aaron Crocker. She won a sprint car race.
Yeah.
Way back when. So
yeah.
Now I know we've talked about people. So first curveball for you. What about car nicknames? The nickname for the vehicle itself.
Oh, the actual race car?
The car itself, yes. Now, more popular in drag racing, obviously, but just in generality, just of the vehicle itself, what's one that comes to your mind?
I got to go with Gravedigger.
Number one on the list.
It was so unique, and I think for me it was a sense of pride because before Monster Jam turned into what it is now, where all the trucks are owned by a corporate entity, and it's that. Back when it was mostly independently owned trucks, Gravedigger was from North Carolina. Dennis Anderson from Kill Devil Hills came up from the tractor pulls back when the monster truck thing was just a little thing on the side, all the way up to when it blew up and became its own thing. So it was a sense of pride being a North Carolina thing. And then number two, I mean, kind of like Jimmy Owens did and Scott Bloomquist have done, where you play off that dark nickname. And you know, how many kids were running around at Monster Jam in T-shirts that had headstones on them and skeletons because it said Gravedigger on it. So that Gravedigger's tough to beat for me.
And what's really cool about that one is the dude's from Kill Devil Hills, like one of the darker names you can think of.
Ain't no Christians living down there.
That's right. Live north of that place.
We jest, of course.
Yes.
Gravedigger, if there had to be another one, and I don't want to, Carzilla. Do you remember Carzilla?
I do not.
Maybe it wasn't Carzilla. Or maybe it was something. It was that thing that Humpy Wheeler had at Charlotte Motor Speedway that he would use to like eat crushed cars.
Yes, okay.
I forget what it was, the actual name for it was. I always called it Carzilla. And that was just daggum unique.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that thing wasn't going to win a speed race, but.
Yes. All right, so that's cars. Now, what about racetrack nicknames?
I know more bad ones than good ones. Old Trusty Dusty.
That's right.
Comes to mind for a few. Oh, man. Track nicknames. Honestly, as far as probably a well-known one, if you say the famed quarter mile, you're probably thinking Bowman Gray Stadium. The track nicknames, that's a tough one.
Because track nicknames, I think that falls in. There's so many generic ones out there. Like, this track is the fastest, insert mile, however long the track is, track in insert state. Like the fastest half mile of the South, or the fastest, quarter mile, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot of generic ones, but there are some pretty unique ones. So that's why that's a good curveball. Give you a second to think about it.
I got Daytona comes to mind, and it's because they call it World Center of Racing.
Okay.
And it is a center for racing, but I don't know. That one doesn't fully fit to me. But, I mean, it's a cool nickname. For me, as far as track nicknames, there is nothing that tops Gasoline Alley and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Okay.
And I know Gasoline Alley is just the nickname for the garage, but that is just like, that's just cool. And for the history that pairs with it at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and I mean, even to this day, I mean, there's a bunch of people out there like me that only watch one IndyCar race a year, and it's the Indianapolis 500, and it's still, the greatest spectacle in racing.
Okay. I'm a little shocked you didn't go with the place your mama warned you about.
Oh, Cherokee Speedway.
And many a times after we leave that place, I say, I understand why mama warned me about this place.
I'm about to say.
Yeah.
Gosh darn, I'm kicking myself for not doing that one.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of them. I remember, this is a story. I remember Richard Bailey told me, we were talking about Friendship Motor Speedway. And I don't know if Friendship is like the unincorporated town that the track is in. I really don't. I don't know where the name Friendship came from. But Richard Bailey told me he went to go run at Friendship when it was paved. Mm-hmm. And he told me, he said, yeah, they called it Friendship, but I went down there. I got the heck knocked out of me. Wasn't nobody friendly to me that day. So, that might be one that plays off the other way.
This past weekend, the Lucas Oil running at Port Royal. The Port Royal's got a real cool name, the Palace of Speed.
Oh,
so you're playing on the speed thing, which that's cool, but it's unique. It's different. It's not the fastest half mile in Pennsylvania. It's the Palace of Speed. That's pretty cool.
Well, Knoxville, sprint car capital of the world,
and it is, yeah.
The road to Knoxville.
Yep.
Did Bristol? I can't remember if Bristol had a nickname or not.
The Coliseum.
Oh, the last great Coliseum.
Yeah, the last great Coliseum. Yep.
Man, yeah, I almost forgot about that one. I'm trying to think of a North Carolina specific one that we haven't already named. Fayetteville, I've always heard called Fayette-Nom. So that might not be a good thing.
The 311 for the longest time was the Daytona of dirt.
Yeah, I remember it being called that.
Yeah, it's been called many things since.
Yeah.
Much of which we can't repeat on this family show.
No. No. Oh, Asheville, the new Asheville Speedway. Not the old one, but the new one. Its legal name was Asheville Speedway or New Asheville Speedway, but everybody that raced there said they called it the River because it was right off of a river. So it actually that kind of played in with kind of the location of it and stuff, and it was also just it was a unique enough place where like Jack Ingram and Robert Presley and people like that come from it. So the River is a unique one.
Did I know it's not there anymore, but the Triangle down in Concord, did it have any kind of nickname? Because that was an extremely unique track down there.
I don't know. I've heard people call it the Tricky Triangle, but I always associate that with Pocono. Yeah. So I think for people down here, maybe they called it that just because they weren't never going to go to Pennsylvania and go to Pocono.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one, and then I'm trying to think. I feel like Atlanta Motor Speedway tried to bill themselves as like the fastest racetrack in the world or something like that. And it was probably the highest speed NASCAR track, but it was never so. See, a lot of these ones for tracks that I've heard over the years, I'm putting to the back of my memory because a lot of them were nicknames that were trying to sell tickets.
Right.
So it gets a little harder to get like a unique track name that's not just like a purely marketing ploy, which I understand why they're doing it.
I'll say it's a little more generic, I guess, because there's a few places named this, but it's unique to this place, and that would be the drag strip in Bristol called Thunder Valley.
Yes.
And what makes that cool is that drag strip is basically run straight down in the middle of a mountain, basically is what it looks like. So, I mean, you got a drag strip and the grandstands on both sides. You got these massive, I guess, hills, mountains, whatever you want to call it right there, but the sound, them dudes just echoing off the mountain as they go down through that. That's a legit Thunder Alley right there.
Yeah. There's, I don't know if Terre Haute is a nickname or if it's just an actual nickname. The Terre Haute Action Track.
Yeah.
That's a cool one. Or what was the nickname they had for Z-Max? I think they called it
the Bellagio.
I thought it was called was it the Taj Mahal of drag strips or something like that?
Yeah, I thought it was Taj Mahal or the Bellagio drag strips.
Maybe it was the Bellagio drag strips.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
when they did the 4
Well, Carolina does have an action track, but that's not an aptly named one. That'd be Carolina.
Carolina Speedway. Yeah,
because there ain't much action there, unless you count watching the wrecker come get cars off the track.
Hey, I've seen wreckers too. Wreckers at that place. The racetrack one, that's a good one. I've never really thought about.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we didn't do research on it, so there's a bunch of. I just wanted to kind of catch you off guard to see if there was one that stuck out to your mind.
I've always kind of wondered why Ace Speedway turned into Ace, because originally Ace Speedway was called Southern Speedway, which was a cool name, but there's a lot of Southern Speedways or speedways in the South. So I'd be curious to know. I might have to do some digging on where Ace came from. Did the person that owned it like to play cards, or because like a lot of the other tracks around here, as far as asphalt ones are, their name is based off their location: Hickory, Caraway. Bowman Gray Stadium's named after a couple of people, but Ace, I was always
I assume just Ace #1.
I guess
one card or whatever. And also in the one marketing class I took in college, they said that a lot of businesses will go with something with the letter A to start with it, because that's going to be #1 in the yellow pages when people are flipping through to find the business.
That's smart.
Yeah. So that's why you have a bunch of AAA this and Acme that and
Alamance Community College.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's where it's located.
Well, Kirk Puckett told me the actual name for Alamance Community College. It's University of North Carolina at Haw River.
No, it's the Haw River U, baby.
Yeah, Haw River Tech.
Well, I'm a proud member. Thank you.
Hey, you're doing better than I am. So maybe I should have gone to Haw River Tech, but just to put a bow on it and wrap it up. Nicknames, love them to death. But I think we both agree on this point. What helps keep racing nicknames unique is that they're special. So not everybody needs a racing nickname. I think that's one thing we can definitely agree on.
And it's specific, and we gave a few. There's 1,000. You can split these categories up into so many different ways, but they're specific to that person for a reason. But you don't have to force it. Let it be organic. And a good example of that is arguably, outside of Kinzer, the greatest sprint car driver, Donny Schatz, does not have a stuck nickname.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys that there's a few thrown out there, but he does not get called a nickname.
No, he's just Donny Schatz.
He's just Donny Schatz, and it works for him. You know
what he gets called? He gets called by his accolades. Like up until the previous one. It was the 10-time and defending champion. It's like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah.
You don't need a nickname.
Exactly.
My wife does not like, side note on this, my wife does not like Brad Sweet's nickname.
Big Cat.
I was like, Big Cat's cool. She's like, yeah, but he's a tiny little guy.
Which makes it funny.
Well, yeah. So I was like, well, what would you call him? And she said, Sweet Feet. Because it rhymes. And I was like, well, I'm sure he does have sweet feet. I mean, you drive that thing with the throttle as much as maybe the steering wheel, but... So, yeah, anytime we go on Dirt Vision and watch a World of Outlaws sprint car race and they say the big cat Brad Sweet, she'll yell out, Sweet Feet, the whole 5 minutes that she maybe pays attention before she's like, all right, I'm done with.
Hey, at least she's paying attention.
She doesn't like the announcer, which kills me.
How can you not like Johnny Gibson?
She doesn't, because he doesn't have a Southern accent and he has a high-pitched voice. Yeah. I love Johnny Gibson. Yeah. I've told her so many times that 3 times I've gotten to work next to Johnny Gibson, I've had to not be a fanboy because I love him to death and he's probably the greatest announcer.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wife don't like Johnny Gibson for some reason.
We would not be doing it justice if we did not say this one last nickname, because he is killing it in everything he's touching right now.
You're not talking about Jackie Payne.
Yeah, well, no, he's literally killing it. Young Money, Kyle Larson.
Oh, man. I remember the first time I heard him called that. It was a USAC national midget race at Ace. It was a Friday, Saturday deal. He was only going to run Friday. And I remember, I was like, oh, okay, this kid, Kyle Larson, I've kind of heard about him a little bit. And then they started calling him Young Money. And then I saw him even at Ace. And I was just like, oh, man, this kid is good. And then as he steps up, and now that circumstances kind of brought him back to dirt, and not that he ever left, but now it is what he is racing. And now it's like, that is a extremely cool nickname.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he didn't come from money. Like, his parents got him to a certain level, and they kind of ran out of money. And they were like, all right, this is as far as we can take you.
And the talent took over from there.
Yep. He got hooked up with, he was with Toyota, and then Ganassi got him, and then it kind of just went from there. But, yeah. Young Money's a cool one. Oh, there you go. This is a car nickname, and this was one, I think we saw this car at With, or maybe we saw it somewhere else. Well, we might have saw it somewhere else. It was a street stock at a dirt track. The number was 00 on the side, but the name with the car said protest money.
That's right.
And I was like, yes, embrace it. Someone's tearing you down because you keep winning protest money.
That's probably what got him there.
Probably. You want to see my carburetor?
That's right.
500.
Please come look at me. I got to buy tires and fuel for next week.
Yeah, about to say. But yeah, that was good, man. That's golly, so many nicknames.
Yep. And I'm sure the rest of the day and the next week we'll be texting, man, I can't believe we forgot.
I forgot
such and such."
something.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll call this one a part one. We'll come back to it.
Yeah, we will revisit at a later date after everybody rips us to shreds.
Indeed.
But, appreciate it as always, brother.
Always, my man.
Thank you for listening to yet another edition of the Half Price Concessions Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, Himalaya, Castro, whatever podcast app you're using. Please hit the subscribe button. If there's a section to leave us a rating and review, please leave us a good one. It would really help us out a ton. Also, if you're listening on our YouTube page, hit the subscribe button there. That way, you'll get notified every time we put out new episodes. Also, you can email the show. The email address is halfpricedconcessionspodcast@gmail.com. You can email us questions, concerns, ideas for future episodes, anything and everything. We'll definitely respond to it, and we just appreciate you listening. Also, if you have friends or family who want to listen but don't want to go to YouTube and don't have a podcast app, you can listen to every episode on our website. That's www.anchor.fm/HPC podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Tyler Williams, and I hope that you have a great day.